We are less than a week away from the Royal Rumble event, and as we get closer and closer to the event, it looks a little bit more clear who might win the Royal Rumble matches. Last year's event wasn't in favor of the fans. This year they have a very good chance to flip that. With that being said, the Royal Rumble always needs that list of who can win, who won't win. That's why today we're going to look at 5 wrestlers from the men's side and the women's side who are most likely to win the Royal Rumble. But before we get into all that, make sure to hit the subscribe button, drop a like, touch that bell icon to get notified every time I drop a video. Without further ado, hit the intro. Number 5 on the male side, Drew McIntyre. Before I explain why, the gap on the male side from 5 and 4 is kind of big. For 1 and 2 below, there is a gap as well. But why is Drew McIntyre the 5th most likely to win the Royal Rumble match? I don't really think he's going to win it, but that 5th spot need to be taken. If there's any dark horse to win it, maybe he's in there because him and Roman make sense. They had the story from Clash of the Castle. Roman beat him, but it was the help of Solo Sikoa, and Drew had him beat, so they can play into that story. I don't think it's going to happen, but as of now, I would put him at the 5th most likely. So the 5th most likely on the women's side is Liv Morgan. Now, Liv Morgan has already confirmed that she will be the number 1 entrant in the Women's Royal Rumble. Now, it's kind of the same story with Drew. There's a big gap between 2 and the rest of the people that can win the Women's Royal Rumble. Now, you'll find out who those 2 are later, but the case for Liv Morgan. Bianca did win it from number 3 in 2021, but I feel like maybe the Women's Rumble needs that great performance from the number 1 spot. Sasha had that as well, but she didn't win it. If they gave it to Liv from number 1 to win it, that would be a good story. I doubt it's going to happen. Let's get to number 4. Now, number 4 on the men's side is Seth Rollins. I don't think this will happen, but this one would make a lot of sense for Seth Rollins because he's the only man that has beaten Roman Reigns in 2022 besides Kevin Owens and John Cena on the last episode of SmackDown. It was by disqualification at last year's Royal Rumble event, but the title doesn't change hands on disqualification. And their story of being former brothers in the Shield has had no official payoff yet in terms of their one-on-one rivalry. We never got the payoff from their rivalry last year, so I would like to see that personally. I think he's the 4th most likely because there are definitely people in front of him that I could see winning instead of him. Wouldn't mind a Seth Rollins win, but let's see what happens. 4th most likely on the women's side is Ronda Rousey. Now, you're thinking she won it last year. That's the main reason she's lower on the list because, as I said earlier, there's a big gap between 2 and below on the rest of the women's list. Because I feel like there's just 2 winners that can be on the women's side and only them. But don't put it past them to put it back on Ronda Rousey because a lot of things can happen before Mania if they really want that Becky and Ronda match, or if they want to make Ronda versus Baszler for the title, or Ronda versus Ripley. A lot of things can happen before Mania, so that's why I'm saying, and don't be surprised if she somehow pulls off a win. 3rd most likely on the men's side is the honorary Uso, Sami Zayn. A lot can happen in between when I'm recording this video. I'm literally recording this about an hour before January 20th episode of Friday Night SmackDown. Now they have the contract signed in tonight. I can really see Sami Zayn getting kicked out of the Bloodline any week now. Okay, so quick update. I just finished watching January 20th's episode of SmackDown, and with everything that happened, it looks like a Sami Zayn out of the Bloodline storyline is going to be happening in the next week or 2, maybe at the Royal Rumble is my guess. So we'll see where that goes. I think at the end of the day, it's going to either come down to 1 or 2 that you will see in this video as the most likely. But if Sami Zayn gets put into that 2014 Daniel Bryan area where it's just undeniable and the company sees how much the fans are getting behind this guy, it may be impossible to ignore that. And just because he wins the Royal Rumble doesn't mean they have to use that. They can use that as another motive in the story, with Sami Zayn giving up his spot, prove his loyalty to Roman and the Bloodline. Or Sami Zayn decides he wants to use it in his hometown in Montreal for Elimination Chamber. There are many directions they can go with Sami Zayn winning the Royal Rumble. I'm just interested to see what they do if they give it to him. Number 3 on the women's side is Shayna Baszler. Now, Shayna Baszler has declared, unlike her tag team partner Ronda Rousey. Not too sure if we'll see Ronda Rousey, but yeah, this is another situation, as I keep saying. There is a gap between 2 and below on this list. Now, Shayna can go. She proved that with her NXT run, her NXT Women's Championship run. Because her run as Triple H's top female in NXT when she was down there was probably the best work of her career up so far. With the story they can get out of her and Ronda, I don't think it necessarily needs to be for a title, but if it is, this might be a good way to set it up. But the story between her and Ronda, regardless of what's going to happen at Mania, is going to be great. Number 2 most likely on the men's side is The Rock. Now, there's always rumors on if he's going to come back for WrestleMania every year. This upcoming WrestleMania is probably has the most chance it's ever had in a long time. The story Rock and Roman can put on is great. Okay, so I still think there's a chance he comes back even if he doesn't show up at the Royal Rumble. I feel like he can show up at, and they're bringing the Anoa'i family. Okay, so I'm cutting myself off again because now this is being recorded January 21st. It's funny that I'm recording the Rock part right now because we just got a tweet from PW Insiders claiming that the acknowledgement ceremony angle has been dropped from Raw 30 plans this Monday. It said based on what occurred on last night's SmackDown, Sami Zayn will be going before a tribal court for the trial of Sami Zayn. That's all feels was like storyline, but maybe they had plans on a deadline this week on if The Rock was really going to show up, because we did hear that it feels like he's not in good ring shape or whatever. This could mean a few things. One, this could mean he's really not going to show up for the match at Mania with Roman, and the acknowledgement ceremony was mainly meant to set up that, and we were never going to get The Rock at the Royal Rumble. Or two, we're going to get The Rock at the Royal Rumble instead of Raw 30. Regardless, I think the trial of Sami Zayn is going to be great. They should definitely main event the show with this. I feel like they're going to kick him out on Monday. But this should be very interesting. This can mean one of two things, so I don't know. I don't know if this puts The Rock down lower on my list. I'm just going to keep him here for now, because you never know with WWE. Do we even get The Rock at WrestleMania? We will see. Number 2, most likely on the women's side, is the man Becky Lynch. Now, I feel like one of Vince's priorities last year was to get Ronda Rousey versus Becky Lynch at some point at a WrestleMania. Maybe with his way, like kind of weaseling back into that old position, he might achieve that goal this year. I do think Ronda versus Becky is a draw for a match at WrestleMania. I don't think it should happen at any other pay-per-view, maybe a SummerSlam. But I mean, I get it. But I do think the Royal Rumble is probably a great way to set it up. Maybe it doesn't need to be for a title, if I'm being honest. So maybe that's why I have Becky at number 2, because that's definitely a likely win. But I feel like number 1 kind of has it locked up at this point. Now, number 1 for the men's side is the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. The Cody Rhodes one doesn't need much explaining. I'd assume he's the betting odds favorite right now. Probably been the betting odds favorite since like the day he got injured. Maybe since he re-debuted. For Mania, we're either getting him versus Roman, or we're getting a rematch of Cody and Rollins again. But Cody Rhodes is a very smart bet to make. And the most likely on the women's side is Rhea Ripley. Now, Rhea Ripley's had a great character change in 2022. They've made her look nothing but strong. Now, Mania, she has a bunch of different directions she can go. She can face Beth Phoenix to kind of rekindle that storyline they had with the Judgment Day and Edge. There's some rumors about her versus Rousey. I don't think it's going to happen anymore. The one I think is most likely is her versus Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship at WrestleMania. I've already made teases about it, and it just makes sense. I don't think much more needs to be said. Rhea Ripley is the safest bet to make for winning the Women's Royal Rumble. So that's going to do it for me here today. Thank you for watching 5 wrestlers who can win the men's and women's Royal Rumble matches. Make sure to drop in the comments who do you think is going to win, or who do you think is most likely to win the Royal Rumble match. Of course, if you like what you saw today, make sure to drop a like and hit the subscribe button. Turn the bell notification so you get notified every time I drop a video. And check out the podcast. It's in the live section. We go live every weekend. It's either Saturday or Sunday. Mostly it's Sundays around 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central. They're really fun. They're really interactive. We talk to the chat the whole time. It's a good time. Make sure to come check it out. But without further ado, thank you for watching. We'll see you later. Be safe.